FTTH, or fibre to the home, refers to fibre optic cables that replace the standard copper wire of the local telecom supplier. It can carry high-speed broadband services, integrating voice, data, video, and runs directly to the junction box at the home or the building. Now, this inherent ability makes the internet a prime source for advancing network technologies that can be brought home. Did you understand any of that? I didn't. Nadia Barbali is with us now. She's the spokesperson for the European Council for FTTH, and she's just going to try to simplify the text for us. I welcome you to South Africa and to Business AM. What is this fibre to the home technology, and how useful will it be for business?
FTTH technology is a solution that offers internet access right into the home, into the office, into the premise. It offers the highest speed that you can find on the market, and with dedicated bandwidth, which is something that is key to the development of a lot of new applications used for businesses, but also in society at large.
Will you just talk us through some of those applications? We're hearing about the integration of voice, internet protocol, video. Just what useful applications can there be for the business, especially the small business?
What's interesting with FTTH is that it is the only technology that offers not only ultra-high speed, and we're talking here of speeds, of 100 megabits in Europe is the usual speed, but it could be scalable to a gigabit and even more. But also it is a symmetrical bandwidth, which means you have the same speed downloading as you have uploading. And this allows the development of some applications that could not work with other technologies, interactive applications. And for businesses, this means that not only can they save money by traveling less, for example, using these technologies to communicate with colleagues or clients in other countries, but also it makes them more innovative. And this has an impact on the regions because they can attract more foreign investments and businesses if they offer this kind of infrastructure to the businesses.
Now, in Africa, we're talking about digital inclusivity. So far, less than 100 million Africans have access to the internet, and there's 800 million people. So there's a huge market to be tapped into. But for those who already have access to ICT, the biggest question is the cost of broadband and the speed of broadband. Now, there's the coming of something like the CCOM cable, which is supposed to speed up the broadband and just make things quicker. Does it make it cheaper? Will this in any way enhance some of the existing technologies and help us reduce costs?
The costs of operating the network are extremely low because this is, once the network is deployed, it's extremely stable, and the maintenance is very light compared to other networks. We have some examples. For example, in the States, Verizon is declared it saved 60% on OPEX compared to operating a copper network, which is a huge difference. I think what in our studies, it showed that you're talking about something that we call the digital divide in Europe, where with some people who do not have access to the internet and the implications it has on society and the economy. And one of our studies carried out by Ovum showed that the rural areas are the ones that benefit the most from deployment of FTTH because it gives them access to some services that they do not have, by just walking outside like you have in big cities. And that is a key finding which, could be interesting for Africa.
Continuing on this tack of African development, it's not just wireless that people need, just being able to communicate from whenever. It's also things like mobile banking that's revolutionizing Africa, or telemedicine for those people in rural areas who can't walk 25 kilometers to get to a hospital. In what way can this technology enhance some of those innovations for development, the solutions to African problems?
Actually, it's a very interesting example that you're giving of telemedicine, which is one of the key applications that we have seen already developed in Europe using FTTH because of the interactivity that it allows and very high bandwidth. Imagine a doctor being able to exchange files both ways, not just downloading, but you could have two hospitals linked up and having looking at exactly the same pictures, the same videos, the same X-rays. You know, you could also imagine some patients being able from a local area, you know, a rural area, to be talking directly with, you know, on video with the doctor, you know, in a hospital somewhere, you know, a specialist, for example, and not having to travel 300 kilometers, you know, to find the right hospital. So these applications are key to, you know, make telemedicine a reality, which it is not if you do not have the interactivity.
Now, Chris, I know that every time we've spoken technology on the show, your biggest concern are costs, and also speed of uploads and downloads. Here's a technology that could try to deal with some of those problems. Are you convinced?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, look, we're a very high-cost, low-speed environment at this point in time. And you've mentioned CCOM. I mean, it's slated to bring costs down and bring speeds up dramatically. My concern, that I can understand FTTH in an urban environment, but in a rural environment where you physically got to put that fibre network into the home or into the enterprise, wherever, doesn't that have some logistical problems, particularly in a dense rural area far out in the Bundu?
I think on the contrary, what we see in Europe, for example, in the Nordics, in the Nordic countries, in Scandinavia, we have very large forests. It's actually a technology where you can deploy fiber for kilometers, and you do not. It's not powered by electricity. Right. So it's actually a very good technology to deploy in you know, over long distances, and it removes the bottlenecks. You're talking about, you know, the core network. So it's nice to have a core network with high bandwidth, but then the bottleneck is from the core network to the user. And this is the key bottleneck that FTTH removes, which allows the end user to actually benefit from the core network.
And I suppose also in a South African environment where you have a lot of copper theft, cable theft, whereas here no one's going to steal fibre optic, there's no commercial value.
No. And very briefly, is it future-proof? I mean, we're constantly seeing innovations in new generation technologies. Is it flexible enough to work with these?
Yes, exactly. In Europe at the moment, we're talking about, just to compare two technologies that we use there, on ADSL, 10 megabit is the average, and on FTTH, 100 megabit. But it's just a start. In Japan, the average is 1 gigabit people use. We just heard that YouTube recently upgraded the uploading rate from 100 megabit to 1 gigabit. So FTTH goes to 1 gigabit and you know, can go even higher when we will need it. It will, you know, it's completely future-proof because you do not need to upgrade the system. You can just add bandwidth into it.